Everybody stay with me. Please get into the Pear Deck and the notes. We're going to be voting for pizzas, and you wouldn't want to miss that. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue. That code is going to stay in the upper right-hand corner. All right, remember, you're picking up on page 7 of the PDF for your notes. And we had left off on Thursday, noting that the Free State became fully independent as the Republic of Ireland in 1937, and that the Irish Republican Army becomes an outlaw organization in both the Irish Republic and in Northern Ireland, which, in the case of Northern Ireland, has remained part of the United Kingdom. And this is going to shift our focus very much more towards Northern Ireland. We're not really going to be talking about the Republic of Ireland much from this point at all. Northern Ireland remains divided itself. And it's divided by opinion groups that we can kind of chunk up into two. The first are the Unionists. Gauge. Thank you. The Unionists are mostly Protestant. One thing that you can use to help you kind of remember this, Ulster and Union both start with a U, and the Unionists are the Ulster Protestants. And as you might have guessed from the name Unionists, they want to maintain the union of Northern Ireland to the United Kingdom. Yes, Grace. In the notes, 7, page 7 in the PDF. We may have just crossed over to page 8. A little farther, or a little up, actually. So it's going to be, okay, so Northern Ireland divided by opinion. And the other group, with a very different set of opinions, are the Nationalists. These are mostly Catholic. And as you might have guessed it, the other side wants to stay in the UK. This side wants out. They want to break away and then join the Republic of Ireland to make all of Ireland one country. Jaden, let's make sure we're staying with me. And this brings us closer towards what we're going to call the Troubles. But we have this period, a pretty long stretch of time, nearly half a century, between 1920 and 1966, that sets really the background for the Troubles. And it begins with something that seems pretty boring to most of us. And I know it's boring to most of us because in St. Joe, when we have local elections about things like the school district or who's going to be on the city council, oftentimes less than 1 in 3 voters, fewer than 1 in 3 voters shows up to vote. Sometimes it's more like 1 in 5. That's not good. That is a very low turnout. But In Ireland, local elections are a much more exciting thing. That's not necessarily good. In 1920, the formula for how votes were counted and translated into representation, who gets what office, how many people get into the government, they used a proportional representation formula, which we will abbreviate most of the time as PR. And under this specific formula for representation, Catholic parties were victorious in a trio of important local elections. So far, so boring. You guys are not going to be convinced that there's any excitement to be had in local elections at all. And now I'm going to make it worse by defining parties. But we do need to know what parties are. Parties are groups of people. And usually they are groups of people with a common set of ideas. And when you learn about parties in your government class, the shared ideas are going to be a big part of that definition. So I want you to have it. But ultimately, all parties need to be are groups of people who want to take control of the government. And we have lots of parties in the world that really, their members don't agree that much on a lot of ideas, but they do want to be in control of the government, so they stick together. Japan's Liberal Democratic Party would be a good example of this. To understand the importance of voting formulas, we need to know a little bit about how it works. And Maxim, you will be absolutely thrilled to know that there are a bewildering variety of formulas, and we're going to learn all of them. And they involve complicated math, and Brian asked to do complicated math on a Monday morning, so we're going to do that. Right, Brian? Right. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep this very simple. In proportional representation, representation is proportional, which means the percentage of the vote that a party wins translates into the portion of representation that they get. Right? If, say, there are 99 seats in the government and a party wins 1/3 of the vote, they will get 33 seats. Right? It's that simple. Right? You get this much percentage of the vote, you get that much percentage of seats in the government. There really are, all joking aside, there are a bewildering variety of formulas for this. They produce crazy different results. In some countries, they really make a mess out of trying to run a country, but we're going to keep it pretty simple. And we're going to talk about something that you guys probably are much more interested in than local elections, and that's pizza. So we are going to simulate a vote for pizza. I want you to choose the pizza, vote for the pizza that you would like to eat. Let's take 30 seconds for our voting. Though I'm going to guess a lot of you can decide on your choice of pizza much more quickly than that. All right. Pepperoni with a clear majority. Veggie with one lonely veggie lover. That's okay. in proportional representation, you're still going to come out all right. So as a result of this, our class would get 3 cheese pizzas, 2 hamburger pizzas, 8 pepperoni pizzas, and 1 veggie pizza. Well, sorry, no, scratch that. You're right, Xander. It is a Monday morning after all. All right, so we're going to get 10. Okay, so, and we had how many votes total? All right, so we had 5, 14. Okay, so 14. Good catch on that, Xander. That would have kind of messed things up. So let's go to your Cami. Okay, we're going to... Okay, so you need to write the pizza that you voted for. So lots of you are going to have different answers, although pepperoni is going to be the most common answer in your notes, but you need to pick, right, type the pizza you voted for. Okay. And then, thanks to Xander's quick thinking, seriously, Xander, I appreciate that. All right, we need to figure out how many pizzas of each type we got. Okay, so for that, let's get our calculator out. Yeah, and this is why proportional representation formulas are a little more complicated than we've made them. All right, so 8 divided by 14. Okay. So it looks like 6 of the pizzas will be pepperoni. Okay, so if you picked pepperoni, how many of the 10 pizzas selected were the type you voted for? And that's going to be 6. And then there were 3 cheese. And we're going to round down on that one. So there will be 2 cheese pizzas purchased. And that brings our total of pizzas up to 8. There are 2 pizzas left to get. And I just want to double check. There were 2 votes for hamburger. Okay, so just as a running tally so far, if you voted for pepperoni, you're going to type 6 in the box after how many of the 10 pizzas were selected. 10 pizzas selected were the type for which you voted. If you picked cheese, it's going to be 2. And then there were 2 for hamburger. All right. And on that, we're also going to round down. This is what some of the formulas do. They do some of that rounding for us. Though actually, in the end, this does work out about right. So there will be 1 hamburger pizza. So if you typed hamburger, you're going to put a 1 in that box. And that leaves us 1 pizza left. And there was 1 vote for veggie. I know we already know that veggie's going to get 1 pizza. And in this case, we round up. But what that means is, like, that 1 veggie voter kind of gets extra representation, right? Above and beyond their 1 vote. Right? 1 vote gets 1 whole pizza. So, if you chose veggie, you're also going to type a 1 in that box. And then, let's answer this question. Were most students able to get at least some of the pizza they want? Yeah, in fact, every student will get some of the pizza they voted for. All right, and who knows? Maybe some of those cheese pizza will be like, veggie's kind of like cheese. Maybe we'll just take the vegetables off and make it a cheese pizza. So everybody's going to be all right. So that's a yes, a very clear yes. Fast forward 4 years to the next local elections we're going to examine. And the Protestants have been up to some political mischief. They have gerrymandered. Now, gerrymandering, or to gerrymander, is a uniquely American verb. It's named for a guy named Elbridge Gerry. And he drew political districts in Massachusetts to advantage his political party. And when people looked at the map of his districts, they called it Elbridge Gerry's salamander, which eventually became gerrymander. So through some changes of pronunciation of his name. But what it means is intentionally drawing the voting boundaries in order to give advantage to one party over another. You live in a gerrymandered congressional district, for example. The way it is drawn, Sam Graves will only leave Congress when he wants to. The Democrats are not going to run somebody that's going to beat him because of the way his district is drawn. And, as you might have guessed, in this case, gerrymandering favored Protestants. And they changed the voting formula. Now, the name of this voting formula has different names. This one's probably not the best, but it is the easiest to remember. It intuitively makes the most sense. First past the post is kind of a reference to a race. And if you're racing from one fence post to the next, the winner is whoever passes the post first. And what it means, not in terms of a race, but in terms of actual elections, is it's whichever candidate gets the most votes. Doesn't have to be a majority, it just has to be most. If Riley and Chloe and Adam all ran for their class president, and Riley gets 32% of the vote, Chloe gets 32% of the vote, and Adam gets 34% of the vote. That doesn't add up exactly to 100, but there were some people who, like Brian and Xander, who just wanted to have some fun, and they voted for Donald Duck on their ballots. Right? That happens. So Adam, even though barely more than a third of voters wanted him, becomes the class president. And Riley and Chloe, who almost 1/3 of the voters wanted, don't get their choice at all. Right? They just get Adam. Which does a very different thing to the voting results. And as a result of this, in local governments, Protestant Unionists got 62 of the available 73 seats, or local governments. They won control of 62 out of 73 local governments. I'm sorry, Xander. Now, if you notice, though, there's only one area where Protestants make up more than 90% of the population. In the others, they're either just at a majority or approaching 2/3 of the population. And yet, Catholics are here. Catholics make up much more of a percentage of the population than this map would suggest. Right? But they've drawn the districts to kind of water down the Catholics, right? Thin them out, right? And give Protestants a better chance of winning, which also becomes easier with a voting system that lets somebody win without a majority. For comparison, in 1920, Protestants had still done quite well. They got 49 out of 73. They got about 2/3. But that meant in 1920 that Catholics still had a lot of control in local governments. So we're going to move closer to another pizza example. So first past the post, abbreviated as FPTP, means whoever wins is the party that gets a plurality. Remember, plurality is what Adam got. He didn't get a majority. A majority means you have to get 50% plus 1. But plurality means you just got more votes than any other party. And that is the system of voting that we use in the United States as well. It's one of the reasons that we have only a two-party system. So again, plurality doesn't mean a majority. It just means you got more votes than any other party. Whereas a majority, again, means that you have to get at least 50% of the vote plus at least one more voter. Oops. It's not what I meant to do. Still not what I wanted to do. Paradex is going to be angry. Okay. All right, so let's run the pizza simulation again. Same deal. We're going to buy 10 pizzas. I want you to vote for the pizza that you would like to eat. All right, we're going to stop there. We've got our count. Okay. And pepperoni, in this case, pepperoni not only has a plurality, pepperoni clearly has a decisive majority, right? 10 out of 14 votes. That we're going to pick back up with what that means tomorrow. Somebody, let's see, who, Xander. In case I forget, since you have a good eye for detail and saved me from one mistake, if I forget, pepperoni had 10 votes. All right, for now, guys, just make sure that you've got these notes saved. Again, we're not turning them in yet. And then head back to Canvas for your exit slip. And it's going to be the 6 March exit slip, which will look shockingly familiar and very similar to the Do Now. This time you're going to take it once. You do have 7 minutes to take the quiz. Guys, you did really well on the Do Now, but you've only got one attempt at this, so make sure you really take your time. Use those notes. The quiz will lock at 8:14. So far, you guys are on track for the bonus points. Make sure that you guys stay in your seat. Avoid that temptation to talk in the last few minutes, and you should be golden. All right, and that quiz has just gone live. Good luck.